Okay, so nature of approaches and methods in ELT means English language teaching. Okay, so we will be dealing with the definition of approaches and methods in English language teaching, and why there are more than one approaches and methods in English language teaching, and why not only one approach or method in ELT. ELT stands for English language teaching. We know that there are approximately 7,000 languages are there in this world. So this course is dedicated for English language teaching. It is one language, isn't it? And for learning one language, one approach or one method should be appropriate. No. Why? That is our question. Why more than one approaches, more than one methods are necessary in a specific single language, that is English language teaching? We will try to find out the answer of this question. And why approaches and methods in ELT have changes through time and circumstances. Not only that, initially we applied one approach or one method, next time we have got another approach, another method, okay, in such a way. So through the time period, one approach has been changed by a new one. Okay. Then we will also be discussing why one approach is shifted by another approach or another method. Okay. Traditionally, that for many years Gamma translation method was the dominating method. Okay, Gamma translation method means GTM. GTM means go to market. Huh? Oh, sorry. Gamma translation method. So it is tradition. That is from the, and we had been talking that the history that is for Latin language learning. Actually, that was the traditional method, and that method is also called old method, or we can also call oldest method, or we can call the traditional method, or we can call it the classical method. Classical method, that is the way, that is the first time initiated how to teach a foreign language or how to learn a foreign language. And for this reason, traditionally it is stated that Gamma translation method has been following in case of learning all types of languages. But next time, what we have seen, that the goals and procedure were set in a classroom ELT teaching, and what to do and how to do. What to do and how to do. We have Gamma translation method in our hand, we know that. But how and in which way and in what time we will be applying that Gamma translation method. And why this question comes? This question came because the appropriateness of Gamma translation. So the researcher, the linguist, they had been thinking about the ways how language teaching can be appropriate, and for this reason they had been thinking, they had been researching that in which way we can implement ELT approach or English language teaching approach or method. In 1920, determination of reading goals. How to read. Previously, in Gamma translation method, reading is a skill that it was not understood. সবাই তো পড়তে পারি আমরা, এটা কি কোনো স্কিল হতে পারে? But next time, the researcher they asked how to read. There are some procedures how to read. কিভাবে আমরা পড়ব আমাদের target language. And how to read in ELT principles. Okay, we are ready to read, but which are the subjects, which are the issues relating to reading, writing, speaking, and some other issues? What we are supposed to read? আমরা কি পড়ব, কিভাবে পড়ব? That questions. Yes. That started the initial questions. How to read? And the principle was developed in American school and colleges. So keeping this question in mind, that what to read, how to read, and what to read. American schools and colleges, they initiated some goals and procedures and the principles that how to read and how to read. Linguists and psychologists developed theories for philosophical and practical needs of ELT. Okay, practical needs we have understood, Guzlam. What is the philosophical needs? We don't know. But they had been talking about, and who taught that? Linguist as well as the psychologist. Okay. That means language teaching has been incorporated with so many issues. That means we can't discard the necessity that we have to learn language. আমরা এটা টেক করতে পারছি না যে আমাদের ভাষা শিখতে হবে। তখন অনেক ধরনের গবেষক, psychologists, all started to think what to read and how to read, and they initiated this thing, that is, what is the practical issues and what is the philosophical issues and what is the psychological issues relating to language teaching. I am not speaking about English language, I am speaking about language teaching. Because not for all, the second language will be the English. Because for the Englishman, যারা ইংরেজিদের অভিভাষী, তাদের তো at least second language ইংরেজি না, তারা ফ্রেঞ্চ, স্প্যানিশ, রাশিয়ান, জার্মান, চাইনিজ, তারা হয়তো হাঙ্গেরিয়ান এটা করবে। ওকে, সো দ্য ফিলোসফিক্যাল, সাইকোলজিক্যাল অ্যান্ড দ্য প্র্যাকটিক্যাল ইস্যুস নিডস টু বি ডিসকাসড ইন English language teaching or the foreign language teaching. And these very linguists and psychologists in America propose several reforms in ELT. Reforms in ELT যদি আমরা বলি তাহলে সেই আঘাতটা কোথায় যাচ্ছে? GTM এর উপরে, because that time up to that period GTM is the oldest method. In 1940 applied linguistics comes up. Up to before 1940 we didn't have the idea of this subject, that is applied linguistics. We had been asking applied physics, applied chemistry. আমরা বলতাম যেটা আবার কি? Okay, chemistry we know, but applied chemistry, that means chemistry will be dealing the theoretical aspects, but applied chemistry will be applying the idea of chemistry in practical needs. Applied linguistics also initiated that field. We only know that we know the theory, but applied linguists, they say that no, you have to know the theory and simultaneously you have to know how to implement that theory in practical needs and practical application. And in after 1940 decades, actually in 1940 decades, applied linguists it started its journey how we can apply the language theoretical knowledge in case of our practical field. And thinking and approach and methods are the chief principles in which we have to give emphasis on. So when we had been talking about the applied linguistic, then we have to discuss about this issue, that is the title of our course, that is approaches and methods. Various attempts have been made to understand the nature of method and to explain. Okay, we have to apply approaches and methods. So what is the nature of approach and method? That also came into, and what is the relationship between approach and method in case of second language teaching or third language teaching or fourth language teaching. Okay, so here we got that linguists and language specialists tried to understand. Okay, they were asked, okay, you had been talking about approach and methods. Who? That means linguists and psychologists and philosophists and others. They had been talking about approach and methods. Then they were asked, তাদেরকে জিজ্ঞাসা করা হলো যে তাহলে কি? What is the relationship between approach and method? How languages are learned by children? Then the researchers had been discussing or thinking or investigating how languages are learned by children. They started to think, that means their brain started storming. তাদের মাথার মধ্যে চিন্তা হলো যে yes, তাহলে কিভাবে আমরা এটাকে অগ্রসর করব? How languages are learned by children and how language learning or learning language is represented and organized in human brain or memory. Okay, actually সবসময় আমরা অনেক সময় বলি যে আমি বলি যে I forget name quickly, আমি নাম ভুলে যাই। আপনাদের ক্ষেত্রেও হবে এরকম যে একজনের নাম হয়তো আমি 2-3 বার জিজ্ঞেস করছি। কেন? কারণ ওটা আমি ভুলে গিয়েছি।